Allison Shaughnessy had it all: a loving husband, a bright future, and dreams of starting a family. Then, in a blink, everything changed. One day in 1991, violence ripped her world apart, leaving her family and town in shock. This happy place turned into a crime scene no one could forget. The clues started showing up, and they pointed to a dark motive. Hey guys! Welcome back to your go-to place of dark and captivating true crime stories. We're here at Crimeco to unearth the mysteries that haunt us all, bringing you the stories that'll leave you intrigued. If you dig our content, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. It helps us keep bringing the chills. Now, grab a drink, snuggle up, and get ready to crack open another crazy case with your favorite crew. Alright then, let's dive in. Allison's story happened in London, a giant city with all sorts of people from around the world. The crime itself took place in Battersea, a neighborhood right next to the River Thames. It's a quiet area with pretty streets and old houses, a nice place to raise a family, which is exactly what Allison and her husband John were planning. Their flat was on Vardens Road, a normal street with houses close together. It was a short walk from a big train station, perfect for getting around the city. But one day, everything changed. Violence struck right inside Allison's home, turning the peaceful stairs into a crime scene no one would forget. The whole neighborhood was shaken up. People who didn't even know each other before became friends, all wanting the same thing: justice for Allison. They helped the police figure out what happened, sharing everything they knew. Allison's story starts in Battersea, London. She was young and full of life, just starting a new chapter with her husband John. Allison, born Alison Blackmore in 1969, grew up in a tight-knit Irish family. Her parents raised her with strong family values and a love for their Irish heritage. They spent many happy summers in Piltown, a small town in Ireland that felt like a second home. As Allison grew up, everyone loved her kindness and positive attitude. She got a job as a bank teller at Barclays in 1986 and was great at her job. It was there that she met John Shaughnessy, a new immigrant from Ireland working at a clinic. They hit it off right away and got engaged in 1989. A year later, in 1990, Allison and John got married in a beautiful ceremony in Piltown, surrounded by family and friends. It was a perfect day, filled with hope for a future together, maybe even with kids someday. Sadly, Allison's dreams were shattered in a terrible way. Though she's gone, the people who loved her will always cherish her memory. Monday, June 3rd, 1991 started like any other day for Allison. She said goodbye to John, her husband, and headed to work. No one knew this ordinary day would turn into a nightmare. Allison left the office at 5 p.m., probably looking forward to being home with John. Her coworkers even remembered her talking about starting a family, something they both wanted. But Allison never made it home. Around 8:30 p.m., John showed up at their flat with a woman named Michelle Taylor. What they found inside was horrifying. Allison was dead. Stabbed 54 times, her body showed signs of a brutal attack. The police were shocked by the scene. The number of stab wounds suggested the killer was enraged, full of hate. But there were no signs of a break-in, and Allison even had her mail. This meant she knew her attacker. The big question for the police was, who would do something so awful to Allison? What could have driven someone to such a violent rage? The investigation took a dark turn when a secret came out about John, Allison's husband. It turned out he was having an affair with a much younger coworker named Michelle Taylor. They even lived close by, making it easy to cheat. Michelle seemed crazy about John. She even went on birth control for him, even though she'd never been with anyone before. Then, the police found something chilling: Michelle's diary. In it, she wrote a horrifying sentence: "I wish Allison would just disappear." It was like she wanted Allison gone forever so she could have John all to herself. Things got even worse for the Taylor sisters when the police found their fingerprints on Allison's door, a place they swore they'd never been. Then, a neighbor came forward. He said he saw two young women rushing out of Allison's flat right around the time she must have been killed. With every new clue, the sisters' stories fell apart. It looked like they lied through their teeth to cover their tracks. The more the police dug, the clearer it became. Allison was murdered because of a twisted love affair. Jealousy and obsession led to a brutal crime that took an innocent life. The investigation into Allison's murder painted a horrifying picture. Here's what the police believed happened. The Taylor sisters, especially Michelle, were obsessed with John. With Allison and John about to move to Ireland, Michelle felt like she was losing her chance to be with him. So, on June 3, 1991, the sisters left work early and went to Allison's flat. They probably lied, saying they needed something for John. Allison, always trusting, let them in. That's when things turned deadly. As Allison bent down to get the mail, the sisters attacked. They stabbed her 54 times, a brutal and senseless act driven by jealousy. After the murder, the sisters left in a hurry. A neighbor even saw them rushing out. By 6 p.m., they were back at work, acting like nothing was wrong. Allison's life was cut short because of a sick obsession. The details of the crime would come out in court, but one thing was clear: Allison didn't deserve this horrific end. After the awful attack, the Taylor sisters vanished, but not before a neighbor saw them rushing out of the flat. By 6 p.m., they were back at work, pretending everything was normal. It was a cold-blooded attempt to hide their crime. The whole neighborhood was in shock after Allison's murder, but the police wouldn't give up. They were determined to find whoever did this to Allison and bring them to justice. It wouldn't be easy, but they wouldn't rest until Allison got the justice she deserved. The Taylor sisters' trial was a shocker. 2 young sisters on trial for murder? It was all over the news, and everyone was watching. The prosecution came out swinging. They mentioned that creepy diary entry where Michelle wished Allison would just vanish. Plus, they were having an affair with the same guy, John. It seemed like Michelle was so jealous of Allison, she couldn't take it anymore. Then came the evidence, their fingerprints on Allison's door, the neighbor who saw them leaving in a hurry, the whole thing. It didn't help that Lisa apparently killed a dog before, and Michelle liked to collect knives. It painted a scary picture. The trial got even crazier when a friend of the sisters admitted she lied to help them out. With that one blow, their whole defense seemed shaky. The prosecution's story was this: Michelle was obsessed with John and willing to do anything to be with him. Since Allison was about to move away, Michelle saw her chance disappearing. So, with her sister's help, they went to Allison's place and stabbed her repeatedly. A brutal end for a simple reason. It took the jury a little over 5 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty. The Taylor sisters were going to prison for what they did to Allison. The Taylor sisters were found guilty, but the story wasn't over. In a surprising turn of events, a higher court threw out their convictions in 1993. They said the trial wasn't fair because of all the media attention and some issues with evidence. Here's the thing. A witness, Dr. Unsworth White, said he saw 2 women leaving Allison's place around the time of the murder. But there was a tiny detail the police messed up on. At first, he mentioned one of the women might have been black, a mistake he quickly corrected. The sisters' lawyers argued this little detail should have been told to the jury. They said it made it unclear if the doctor really saw the Taylor sisters, who are white. The prosecution even admitted they messed up by not mentioning it. On top of that, the court worried the media coverage was too crazy, like what happened in the O.J. Simpson case. The sisters' lawyers said the news was making people judge them before the trial even started. Because of all this, the higher court decided the sisters couldn't get a fair retrial and set them free. John Shaughnessy, Allison's husband, was furious. The Taylor family, of course, was happy they were out of jail. The police kept investigating for years, but never found anyone else or any new clues. In 2002, they gave up. Allison's family was left with no answers, just a lot of sadness and unanswered questions. Even though they were set free, Life wasn't easy for the Taylor sisters. After a year in jail, they wanted to move on, but the shadow of the case loomed large. In 1995, they tried to sue the newspapers that wrote all those crazy stories about them during the trial. They said the articles were unfair and made them look guilty, but the court disagreed. The judges said things like mentioning Michelle's relationship with John and even showing a picture of them kissing at their wedding were fair game. They argued the articles didn't pressure the jury into a certain verdict. The sisters wouldn't give up, though. They even tried to get money from the police for putting them in jail by mistake. But that hit a snag in 2000. Turns out, while investigating their claim, they found evidence that their defense team might have scared some witnesses. Because of this, the sisters became the only ones in the UK ever denied compensation for a wrongful conviction. Despite all this, they eventually built new lives. They got married and had kids. John Shaughnessy remarried too and had children with his new wife, Caroline. Caroline even said that everyone makes mistakes and John wasn't perfect. The case became a big topic of discussion. People argued about the role of the media in court cases and how to make sure trials are fair. Allison's family still believed the Taylor sisters were guilty, but at least they could cherish her memory. As for who really killed Allison, that answer remained a mystery. The Allison Shaughnessy tragedy was a shocker that wouldn't be forgotten. The brutal crime and the strange twists in the trial made it a huge story. In 2003, a crime documentary dug deep into the case. They interviewed all the important people involved, and it got everyone talking again about the media and how it can affect trials. The documentary didn't try to make things more dramatic than they were, it just showed what really happened. A book about the case also came out in 2001. The author, Bernard O'Mahony, used to support the Taylor sisters, but then things changed. He claimed he had an affair with Michelle and that she even confessed to killing Allison. This book made people even more curious about what really happened. The Shaughnessy case became a reminder of how dangerous obsession can be and how unchecked desires can lead to terrible things. It's a sad story, but it also shows how strong the human spirit can be, even in the face of awful tragedy. Allison's memory lives on. Even though her life was cut short, the love she shared with her family and friends will never be forgotten. This alarming tragedy was a terrible event that left a deep scar on everyone involved. It was a story about a lost life, a broken family, and a justice system that didn't quite deliver everything everyone hoped for. Allison's family never gave up on finding the truth, even when the laws made it hard. They kept her memory alive, showing how strong people can be even in the face of awful tragedy. The case also made people think more about the media and how it can affect trials. It sparked discussions about obsession and how unchecked desires can lead to terrible things. Documentaries and books explored the case from different angles, keeping the conversation going. In the end, the most important thing to remember isn't who did what or the legal arguments. It's about Allison herself, the life that was cut short, and the love she shared with her family. Her story reminds us to cherish the time we have and the people we love. Even though there weren't clear answers in court, the love Allison's family showed her will never fade. It's a reminder that love and compassion are what truly matter, even in the darkest of times. Let's remember Allison for the light she brought to the world, not the darkness that took her away. Alright guys, before you dash off into the night, don't forget to hit that like button. It lets us know you're digging the content, and that keeps the creepy cases coming your way. While you're at it, smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss our next dive into the mysterious unknown. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you on the flip side for another mind-blowing case. Until then, stay curious.